Hey there, welcome to the Crossed Over Celebrity channel. My name is Tina and I am a soul alignment coach. And what that means is I help people expand their definition of who they are by consciously aligning with their soul contract. So on this YouTube channel, I team up with a celebrity and we walk through their soul contract, talk about how that played out for them. We'll pull some oracle cards. I had done some creative writing earlier, and we usually pull a healing mantra to wrap up the video. So today we have Christopher Reeve, who was, as most of us in the US know, is our Superman, and he was an actor and very accomplished actor, I should say. And he ended up suffering paralysis from a horse riding accident. And so we're going to talk about that and the challenges that ensued for him and how that kind of aligned with his soul purpose and his chart, and kind of helped him to get on track with some things that he came here to accomplish. So without further ado, I am going to pull up Christopher's, I'm going to share my screen, pull up the soul contract like I always do. And so here is Christopher's soul contract. And so if you're new to my channel, if you're interested in learning more about the soul contract and how I pull the charts together, please watch my short introductory video. I always put that in the description box below. If you would like to have your own personal reading, I also give you my website address and you can contact me there. So today, Christopher, what a wonderful, lovely man Christopher was. And so the first thing that I want to get into with him was, I have this picture of him after his accident when he was paralyzed. This was the one that he was kind of directing me to choose. So this was from his, he did a lot of work after his accident, and him and his wife, who actually crossed over shortly after he did unexpectedly. So I do want to mention that they had a soul contract, and they were definitely a team here in this incarnation. So with that being said, Christopher is a dominant 6. I want to mention that first off because he has a lot of 6s in his chart. And so what this means for Christopher is that he really came here to express his creativity and to be able to learn how to focus, to be able to manifest the things that he wanted in his life. And so he did do a lot of that with a lot of different things that he did. He was very athletic. He was I think like 6'4", very attractive, played a lot of sports. He, obviously rode horses. He was a pilot. He did some gliding, learned how to fly the glider, which actually was attributed to helping him in his role to make him flying as Superman to be more believable. So that was pretty fascinating. And so I always talk about in these charts, so we have a physical aspect to our charts, which we are, I believe, spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's all taking place in this 3D environment here on Earth. I also refer to it as the Earth School. So we're here to learn and grow and to ascend, and that's part of this consciousness ascension. And so everybody's kind of on their own level, and I pick celebrities because we can, people are just more aware of the things that happened to them during their lives. And then I can show you kind of where that was in their chart and how it played out for them. Now the numbers do, depending on what numbers you have in your charts, they manifest a little bit differently based on where the numbers are, how they affect each other. And of course, we all have our individual personalities that we bring to the table, our egos. And so that has an effect as well. So Christopher was actually, like I said, he was extremely creative. He, you know, really for him, his kryptonite, if you want to get into that right away, because our karma is our opportunities for growth. And what happens with the karmic side of our chart is it brings in a lot of the negative aspects of those numbers. And the reason for that is so that we can grow from those experiences, because once you kind of learn what you don't want, it builds this idea in our minds of what we do want. And the more mindful we become with the things that happen to us, and the more we direct our mind towards the positive side of the numbers, the more we start to manifest our purpose and the things that we came here to accomplish. So for Christopher, having a 6 in his karma was really about learning how to focus and to become creative. Something that we can see that he did, that he worked on, that he had a great success in, as far as, you know, in our culture, we measure success, you know, by, Grammy nominations and, awards and things like that, which doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. But I use celebrities because they tend to be what I call older souls. So they've came here and accomplished a lot in their lives, regardless of if they have a long life or a short life, because again, the more incarnations we have, the more able we are to manifest the things that we want. And because we carry with a lot of that knowledge from our past lives. So the reason Christopher wanted to come through today was to talk about this idea of Superman, and to be, about not waiting, for somebody to save us, or for someone to, to be in charge, and to give our power away to this idea that we need to give away our power to somebody who knows more, or who can save us, because we're here to work on ourselves, and we're here to save ourselves. So he wants to make that perfectly clear, that you are your own Superman. So it's really important for you to learn about your own power, and to be able to tap into that power in a very conscious way on your journey here. And so one of the things that he had said when he came through earlier, when I did a creative writing session with him, was not waiting for permission. This is what he said: not waiting for permission from someone else to do or to be who you came here to be. Going for what's important going forward towards what brings you happiness, what's you're most passionate about, but also with this underlying about serving others, and about the greater good. And it's not that about always doing for someone else, but if we're living from a very passionate place and through love and compassion, that is serving everyone and ourselves in the process, which is the point of all of this. And so when we're talking about his soul contract, we're going to talk about his little bit of his kryptonite here, because this was in the 5s. And so the 5s are a very sensitive number, and this brought in challenges with him, as far as 5s need to really eat right. They're very sensitive. So for him, he had allergies and had a lot of sensitivities to food. I had read and he confirmed this about a story about when he was first starting out, and he was working so hard and he was only eating like candy bars and he wasn't eating right, and he just ended up fainting at one of his rehearsals, and so this talent group, he was working with Katharine Hepburn, who became a really good friend of his. And so then they got him to a doctor and taught him about proper nutrition and things and how important that was. So that was kind of a lesson he learned about his sensitivities, and what ended up, he ended up crossing over from a reaction. People who are paralyzed tend to, because they can't feel, they can get infections from sitting too long in one place, where as we can feel into the body, we know if we're uncomfortable, we shift our positions. And so he did get an infection, and he actually, the medication that they gave him to try to counteract the infection is really what triggered him having an attack and crossing over. So his sensitivity was his greatest challenge, plus the 5s on the negative side bring in a lot of impatience. And he said that was something that he struggled with most in his life, was his level of patience with others and with himself at times. And so again, that's something, if you have that in your chart, you can start to become more mindful of those thoughts that are creating your impatient and why you're feeling that way. Because again, our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions is where the manifestations come from that create our reality. So the other thing in the 5s can be some recklessness, and so that's where he would do a lot of his own stunts. And again, he was competing and jumping with horses. And so there can be a little bit of a recklessness to him from that 5, which again can have impact. And I'm not saying that's why he had the accident. The sense that I got when I was communicating with Christopher is that when you have 6s in your chart, and the majority of 6s, is that you are given this great range of free will to kind of create your reality. And so this was something that he ended up manifesting because he was really working on not just his 6 physical goals, which is not really 100% free will. I've talked about this a little bit in other videos. We have free will, but in some of the aspects, not necessarily. And when you have a 6 of physical goals, you're driven from your soul, very unconsciously, it can be, or consciously, to be really creative. But he also had the 17-8. This is where, when we talk about taking your power back and being your own person, that he really had to let go, because it's about letting go, and it's also about self-mastery and self-expression. And so he had to learn how to let go of being over-identified with his body. And so that was what we talk about. The 6s all in his soul destiny were to really manifest from this high capacity, conscious, create and be very creative, and bring forward your soul's essence through that creativity. And so that was something that he ended up manifesting to be a bigger challenge for him in this lifetime. And you would wonder, well, why would anybody want to go through that? And so that's really about learning from all of these experiences and wanting to develop this high level of compassion and empathy when we have struggled with our own, we've all played a lot of different roles in our incarnations, and being a person of a disability, that gives you another higher level of compassion and empathy for others and the struggles that they went for. And this really was what developed his self-expression and really started to bring through the spiritual talents, which was him expressing. 5s are tied to the truth, so truth was very important to him, expressing his truths and helping others. And so this brings forward that, again, the Superman, not waiting for Superman, really taking back our power. It's called the slavery to dominion number. It's really a master teacher number. It's not about becoming a master teacher, but it's becoming self-mastery. And it's about this idea of that you are not to give your power away to somebody else is not what it's about. It's taking back that sovereignty, your mastery. And so being a sovereign being and not being over-identified again with the body, which was his loss of that structure, also was capitulated that goal for him in this lifetime. Now he has these wonderful talents that he activated. And so the sevens were really about opening his heart, and the sevens are all about healing the heart. I talk about how they make great actors because they can really embody the part that they're playing. They're very magnetic because they can become very grounded and in their body, which is when you have sixes in karma, it's really about becoming that very grounded, focused individual. And so this, again, the accident was another component of that to help him get to the self-mastery. But the sevens were bringing groups of people together, catalyzing people into action. So him and his wife, Dana, opened up a center to help more people. And so they did that by helping people become more independent with their paralysis or disabilities that they were going for. It was also a big proponent of the Special Olympics and did that before his accident. He was very much what I would consider unity consciousness type of person. And but he didn't really have strong spiritual beliefs until after the accident, which is another, he said, catalyst for him to go a little deeper. And then he became a member of what's called the Unitarian Universalists. And what that is because the 17-8 is tied also into universal brotherhood. It's very much about people of like minds getting together who are about this unity consciousness, and they're about tolerance of others' beliefs. And they live by this code of unity. And, I'll put that kind of a description in the description box below about they have, they don't believe in like rules or dogmas that come from traditional, stricter religious backgrounds, which I have no judgment against. Religion can be something very, very wonderful. It's like anything, how it's used. And so this gave a more broader perspective of this universal language and this universal love and compassion and living through that kind of a methodology. So very interesting. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. And so we want to talk about is what he wanted to say is no matter how difficult something is for you, there are ways to use it to bring out the best in you, to get creative and live from outside and to be able to actually live outside the box. And so this accident forced him to become more creative. He still worked out, he still maintained his body because he really believed he was really involved in a lot of passing of legislation for stem cell research, as long as it didn't involve cloning of people. And so there's he wanted the stem cell research to make sure that it was in the best interest of the good of all, not just because he wanted it for himself. So they put together some legislation that covered a lot of the ethical and moral concerns of that. And so he's very proud of that and should be, because they looked at it from an all-encompassing, not just a self-service. It was about service to others. And so Christopher has in his spiritual talents this wonderful 10-1, which is about creating balance, right? The balance between the masculine and the feminine. And so he brought this to life even before the accident. So he was very much, when he took the Superman role, he was a very young man, I want to say around age 24. And he really wanted to show Clark Kent as this very vulnerable, kind of normal man with, he didn't want it to be this overly toxic masculine. He was connected enough to know that there were changes going on with the frequencies, that the divine feminine was rising, even though he wasn't consciously going around saying, oh, the divine feminine is rising. You know, it was about men embracing their feminine side and their nurturing and giving side and connecting with others. But yet the masculine side, which is tied to the eights, actually tells me, you know, he was a very old soul, high frequency soul, but also this is about nurturing and, you know, reaching out to others and helping. And it is not as always embraced in our culture. And I talk about that because of the, again, that patriarchal culture that we've grown up in, and how we're starting to, you know, we're in the process of changing that. And that's for the good of all, for this level of expression and equality and not putting people into boxes. So again, that's all about this, not waiting for somebody else to fix it for you, but for all of us to do our part, do our inner work, balance out this masculine and feminine energy. And so this gave him that great ability to find some balance in his life, and also be able to really work on that, you know, the spirituality, because 10 ones are about service. The more you serve others, the more you will be served. And so he started to really focus on his spiritual goals, which early on, we all tend to focus on our physical goals, you know, being in this 3D world, but then the spiritual side starts to take over, and that varies. It depends on where people are in their consciousness levels to when those numbers play out, but he was definitely working on those while he was here. So, and so that 7 was about, again, I talked about learning, for him to learn how to let go of that over identification with the body, because we can be identified with our looks and how we present ourselves. And so, you know, the ego likes to do that, you know, and, you know, but our bodies as we get older are always, you know, they're breaking down. It's part of our natural cycle. And he wants to be sure that you understand that this helped him to break out of that a little bit sooner than he would have. Although he was, in my opinion, pretty conscious being already. He was doing a lot of humanitarian things and a lot of work. The accident kind of propelled him into it. And also that was when he won his first Grammy, because the 5s coming, if you have 5s in karma, it's about creative writing and doing writing. And so he did receive a Grammy for the speaking his book, Still Me, because he wanted to let everybody know that, you know, he was still Christopher Reeve. Just because he lost the ability of his body, that didn't mean that he wasn't still this beautiful soul. And his wife ended up, you know, he was so depressed. The 5s can be very sensitive, and to have this type of an accident combined with the 8s, which also can tie in some depression. His wife helped save his life, because he really was thinking about suicide at that point. He did not know, he wasn't at the point of valuing his life beyond that, because that's what I talk about, the over-identification with the body. And any of us could have an accident or be disfigured, or there's so many things that could happen. And if you're over-identified with that as being who you are, you don't want to live. And so she made an agreement that if he would just give it a few years, that if he still wanted to commit suicide, she would help him find a way. And so he said his most joyous times, his most love for life, and everything happened after the accident. So he is saying that this is what he has said. This gave me one of the greatest lessons on earth, to learn the compassion for what others are going through. You might not be able to see it clearly like with my accident, but everyone choose something to overcome. It's not a free ride by no measure, but life is worth living. There is fun, laughter, and love no matter what the circumstances. It's a choice how you live here, whether this is your heaven or your hell. And so his pet peeve was people who are able-bodied but paralyzed for other reasons. And that usually is the mind, right? The mind that was, we're over-identified with our thoughts. And then these numbers can bring in some negative thought forms, which is all energy. Everything is energy, and all these numbers generate energy, which is what creates our reality. So you just have to become the watcher of your mind, because the mind is a trigger. I talk a lot about symbols on this channel, because symbols are so important in life, as long as we're watching for the symbols. And he did want me to point out that life is always speaking to you, whether it's premonitions or kind of what's going on. And it was really unusual that he played the part. His last movie role before the accident was he played the part of a paralyzed person in the movie Above Suspicion. That movie was released 6 days before his accident. I correlate everything to numbers. This is not an ominous thing to be fearful. This is stuff that life is all about, these cycles and energies. You know, he transitioned on 10-10. 10 was his service soul, and the ending of the cycle for him. And it actually is a very beautiful thing. It's none of this stuff is about fear or being afraid of anything. It is being your own Superman, knowing you have the power to overcome it, to make the best situation out of anything. You know, I did a channeling with Stephen Hawking's as well. And that was also a really good and inspiring reading for somebody that also had some similar issues and learned such great lessons from them. So we're going to start picking some cards. So the first batch he would like to go to. I'd like to stop for a moment, make sure that I captured all the messages he had said early. And so the first card that jumps out right away is this Priestess card. And so this is about, how are you being called to step up and lead? It's a very beautiful card, and as of talks about that strength, that that you know, that was his calling, to step up and lead from a new perspective. And he says all of us have that ability. We all have that ability inside. So the Priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, just like Christopher was. Freedom and leadership as well. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is in your tribe. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation, or like Christopher said, your identity with your body or your looks. Or the best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it is because at some point in your life you longed for someone to lead you. Your tribe are longing for exactly the same thing as you were and are, and might only be one step behind you. Hell, they may even be right alongside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just like he had said earlier in his creative writing about the Superman. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up, even if you can't stand. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so that they can find you. That was a great way to start the oracle cards. He's going to go to Keepers of the Light. He was, like I said, he didn't have that Christianity type background, but he did fall into the Unity Consciousness group. And so Lady Portia, divine order, she's coming through. Do what you feel is right. An important lesson is unfolding. Great words of wisdom. And just so you understand too, color means a lot. And this beautiful lavender, talks about ascension, and that's a high, that mastery level is depicted by purple and kind of the violet flame, or I have my violet flame light on for this reading with Superman. And so he's going to the sacred destiny. Security. Security is coming up. We'll see what that is all about. The firelit cave. You can see the pictures, symbols like I talk about on the cave walls and the fire. So in ancient times, our forebears took refuge in caves. It was there that they could seek shelter from the weather and be protected from predators and enemies. The cave offered a safe place to prepare food, sleep, heal, and build a community. Caves were also the places where sacred spiritual ceremonies occurred, evidenced by cave drawings and altars that have been built along the ledges. Symbolically, caves often represented a secret pathway to the underworld, the divine womb of Mother Earth, and the Sacred Heart. Also, caves can be energy portals for shamans or other spiritual explorers. So the message that Christopher is bringing through is to let you know that you are safe and protected no matter what is occurring in your life. You are in safe hands. Those in the realm of spirit are watching over you. You can relax and let go. Once you've taken measures to protect yourself and those you love, such as making sure everyone has their seatbelt on in the car, making sure your insurance is paid on time, or replacing the filter in your furnace, then let go. And that means don't repeat those thoughts in your mind. Know that it's taken care of and things will be good. If you have been hyper vigilant lately, take a break, relax, know that all is well. You can turn it all over to the Creator. So we're going to go to the secret language of light. And 38 is coming up. Create space. What a beautiful card. Oh my goodness. Let's see what that is all about. Make room for your dreams. Create a space for new desires by learning how to be happy now. We all want certain things in our life to change, and it is up to each of us to do something about it. If you apply action from a position of truly wanting change, once you notice something you would like to change, take a breath and say thank you. Gratitude is so important. Recognizing what you want to change brings more clarity on what you would like to change it to. Your job is to create the space for your dreams and desires to fill. Do this and you will begin to receive direction and wisdom. Watch for the signs. Create this space by coming into balance, meditating, focusing on the moment, or thinking of a person, animal, place, or situation that makes you smile. Feel the smile stretch through your body and relax, knowing that all you desire is on its way. So he says that's what they mean by, this is what he's saying, smiling through the pain. Smile anyway, even if you're not, because there's something physical about when you smile that takes on this new vibration. So, and I've learned that from they called him Tai. He's a Buddhist monk that had recently passed over, and his name was Thich Nhat Hanh. I think I can't say it correctly, but yeah, he also talked about that as well. Smiling through the pain. And so you have empowered your whole being because you don't need conditions to change to feel joyous in the present. You are bathing in unconditional love. Breathe it in and enjoy how good you feel. Because most of us, when we manifest, are waiting for the manifestation in order to feel happy. And that's actually backwards. You need to be able to feel that emotion first before it usually manifests for you, or you're just manifesting a little bit chaotic and unconscious, like a lot of us do. I mean, I do too. Trust me, I don't have it all figured out either. That's why I'm bringing these guys in to help us as well. So we're going into wisdom of the hidden realms. Oh, this one came out too in Elizabeth Taylor's, and I also believe that Christopher Reeve had these such beautiful piercing blue eyes, and with that dark hair, just very gorgeous. As he says, the eyes of beauty, positive expectations, and clarity. Number 25, which adds up to the 7, which was in his talents. Beautiful. I didn't talk about this. 3 is the communication number, and 8 was in his chart as well, and they add up to 11, which is all about new beginnings. So it's important to create space for new beginnings, clean out old things. He also wants to talk about too, if you're working a couple of different jobs, making sure you have the time and energy to do both, and so that, but still taking care of the self. Because sometimes we need to create space for something new to come in. So I'm going to Talking to Heaven with James Van Trogdijk, and we'll get a message from him right now, what he watched. No, he said, no, not that. Okay. Oh, and so he's got the rainbow, and he said, I am so much better now. So again, he is not disabled on the other side. When we cross over, we go back to that wholeness. Not that we're not whole when we're here, because we are. That's all just an illusions, the disabilities and things we manifest, but it all serves a purpose. So it's very important that we don't judge that too harshly. We got to go to the animal deck because he was an animal lover and really related very well to animals. Grew up, had a really special dog that is with him on the other side, besides his beautiful soulmate, Linn. So let's see what the animal spirits have. Ooh, eagle spirit. This is gorgeous, and just, it's so him, isn't it? The eagle. 23, which adds up to 5, obviously, which was his kryptonite karma, but he transmuted that beautifully in this lifetime. Eagle spirit has your back, and that's also about trusting in the flow and holding your vision. Eagles represent holding your vision. And see how it has this crown on its head. And so it's also all about the crown chakra, connecting to spirit and to the divine. All of us can. So, and it's just about holding that regalness, holding your vision. There's a lot of power in this eagle, as there is in each and every one of us. So he's bringing forth the eagle spirit for us. So, We're going to go to the Archangel Metatron. I work with Archangel Metatron a lot. This is a self-mastery deck, so this is going to be a big one for Christopher here. So, oh, yep. So we have 30, the 3, which is all about communication. And this is Silver, Warrior of Light. Was he not the most gorgeous warrior of light? So we're going to have to read on this one. So you're being asked to be one of Archangel Metatron's warrior of light. To do so will require strength, dedication, compassion, and to always deal in the truth. That's where it's tied in with Christopher's 5s, with the very important for him to speak the truth. There are noble qualities that one who serves the light must master in life on the spiritual path before them. Our world has seen thousands of years of bloodshed where warriors battled against each other, fighting over land, religion, and what they deemed was right. That ego, toxic masculine, where the masculine, the divine masculine is all about this protective, courageous, willful in a positive way energy. And he exhibited that. He had 8s, and that's very much tied to those energies. Not about the force and the brutality, which is also tied to 3, which is comes up that warring Mars energy. And so now as spiritual warriors, we fight as one. No denominations apply other than the signature of the human race working for the light. Those who are given their silver sword of truth know that we are all one. It will never be used to harm another, but to wield off and warn the dark that the light is here. It is given to you now to protect and clear the path. It is bestowed on those who have fought battles with their own darkness and have found the light within themselves once more. You have a steady hand and a wise soul, and the light burns bright within you. The sword cuts through all illusion and falsehood. Aha, watch that. Deceit and denial, and all that is negative, heavy, or tainted by wrongdoing. Use it wisely. You now have its power in your hand. The silver blade must never be used to harm, but instead must act to defend all that is good, honest, and pure, just like Superman. Hence, it also stands for justice and a balancing of karma for anyone in any situation that seeks this energy. It's never about excluding justice or not having laws, or, we tend to, forgiveness is one thing, but justice is very important. The silver moon often signals a time of completion and a cycle ending and a new one beginning. At such times, invoke the silvery ray to purify the past and clear the way for a bright new future illuminated by silver's truth and clear direction. You are protected by Archangel Metatron's silver ray at all times. No harm can befall anyone who asks for his light to be within and around them. One who holds a silver sword is never alone and never fear the dark and is always safe. Feel the energy now and allow it to make a difference each day forward as you walk the path of light, of the light warrior you truly are. And he also wants to mention about asking for protection from Archangel Metatron, Source, whoever you resonate with, but also about first clearing your energy. Kyle Gray talks a lot about this. He's the angel. He knows all about, he connects with the angels and he talks to them daily. And he talks about how it's really important to clear your energy first, come back to your center, and then ask for the protection once that your energy is cleared. So you're not cloaking in any type of dark energy within you. So we're going to go to the Shapeshifters deck after that, and one pops right out. Ooh, the Mermaid and the Turtle. An elder will teach you. So mentors are always, are very important. Again, 25, this adds up to 7, which was in his talents. And it's okay to learn from a mentor, but it's never okay to there's boundaries there, right? Give your power away to somebody and rely on them for everything. So, but this is about learning from somebody who has something to offer, and you'll resonate with it. So that's how you know, is that it's something that really resonates with you at a soul level. So pay attention to how you're feeling about that. And so we're going to the wisdom of the oracle before we pull our final healing mantra. And so a little reminder here, all that glitters, number 16, which adds up to 7, part of Christopher's talents. You can see the masks. That's all about that actor energy we talked about. So what masks you wear, right? Making sure that you are taking off those masks is what he's saying, that you are being your authentic self, because that's what really living from the soul is. It's not living by what other people expect of you. It's really you digging down, understanding what it is, your purpose, and being strong enough to rise above that. And so all that glitters also talks about, we're going to read a little bit here, but it talks also about getting distracted by some of the shiny stuff, because, you know, Christopher had everything. He was good looking, you know, money, all of these things. But in the end, none of that mattered. It really came down to this love and support of his family and friends. And he wants to talk about his close friend, Robin Williams, who was by his side, came in and made him laugh. I mean, that's what did it for him, that supportive community, helped pay his bills. Just people did so much good thing. And then they raised so much money to help others through his voice and his speech. And so he says, this is all about a need to see beyond the superficial, the desire to don a mask or dress up something to disguise its true nature, trying to be something you're not, chasing after every sparkly new thing, right? So it's only human to want to adorn oneself in trinkets and paint a pretty picture of yourself. We see it on Facebook every day, everybody trying to paint this wonderful picture and not really being vulnerable. And so it's the natural way, though, that we want to acquire the trappings of status or to deny them as a statement of rebellion. But if it sparkles, is it better? Whether it's a fast car, a big house, a title or position, the stamp of authority, or the sparkling diamonds, these icons let you know something about a person, place, or thing, or do they? The truth is that people seek to acquire things because of what they will do for them and how they symbolically will elevate them and make them more attractive. This card signals that it's time to see beyond those adornments and probe underneath the surface. Learn to recognize the masks people wear and the motives underlying them. Imagine that all the glitter is gone. Would you still desire the object or the person? Now, he said that was one of the greatest gifts that he had by the accident, is he found out really quickly who really loved him for himself. And it's hard for me to talk about because I get really emotional when I think about his wife and how she bribed him to stay alive, and she loved him anyways. And so you feel that, I just can feel that love that they have, and it just pierces through my own heart. It's so amazing energy. So he looks at that accident as one of his greatest gifts. So even though at the time he didn't think so either. So this card came up because this is really what he ended up having to deal with. And it's about dispelling sadness and his sadness of letting go of the life that he had thought he was living and created, and having to, again, his sixes and soul destiny were about becoming creativity outside of the box and living through that creativity. And so no matter what life throws at you. So the mantra for this video is going to be, I will feel better once I get the rest I need. I will feel better once I get the rest I need. I will feel better once I get the rest I need. And so this is from the Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn, an absolute amazing teacher. And it's on page 17, of course, because that was Christopher's, remember his spiritual talent goals, which was about that self-mastery and about him learning how to let go of that old identity. So when sadness dissolves, you are able to acknowledge upheavals of emotion as profound healings take place. As a result, you are inspired to give your body the rest and rejuvenation it needs rather than to push yourself into states of imbalance. As you dissolve sadness, you become aware of the vital role downtime plays in helping you recharge your energy field. This mantra is ideal for dealing with depression, fighting against time, and learning how to relax. So we're going to say it again. I will feel better once I get the rest I need. My camera's not that good. I always put the mantras and everything in the description box below. And so that wraps it up for this beautiful session. Thank you to Christopher Reeve and for coming through with such beautiful energy, and it's just so amazing. So please like, share, and subscribe. Superman says so, or he's going to fly over. It's free. So we're just trying to build the videos and get them out for other people who might be looking for some great advice from these wonderful people that came here and lived such incredible lives and had such incredible challenges. And so with that, I am, Christopher is thanking all of you, and to live your life to the fullest, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and you shouldn't be worrying about tomorrow either. It's all about the present moment. So he's saying present moment, mindfulness. Yay. Thank you. And I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.